Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Matty and welcome back to this new little photography channel where I chat about photos and share with you all the photos that I'm making. It's so nice to have you here today guys, because today I want to share with you a topic which I'm super passionate about, and that's the process and experience I had when producing my first photography zine. Earlier this year, I produced my first zine, which I put up for sale, and over the past few months, I've had quite a few questions from people who purchased the zine, as well as other photographers who were following me, asking about how I went about producing it, styling it, printing it. And so today I thought it'd be a great idea to go over some of the tips and things I learned along the way and share with you my experiences. I sure discovered a ton from this whole process. It was a great experience producing my first zine, and I thought it'd be fantastic to share some of the lessons I learned, because I certainly think I've got some value to share for anyone who's considering making their own zine or have made one in the past and are thinking to make your next one. So firstly, what is a zine? I didn't really know what a zine was up until about mid last year, so I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm an expert on them, but according to Wikipedia, a zine is a small circulation, self-published work of original or appropriated texts and images. But in essence, a zine is this. This is my first zine. It's called Someplace Warm, and I produced this earlier this year, and it's a series of images from the Mediterranean. This project meant a lot to me because a lot of the people and places that feature in this zine are friends and family, so putting this project together was a really big achievement for me, and I was super proud of it once it got out there. This was my interpretation of what a zine is, and every zine is going to be different, and I think that's so great because every artist is going to have a different approach to putting together this body of work. But this kind of leads into my first tip, but the one thing that remains consistent through most zines is the fact that there's a consistent theme and idea. By having a theme, your zine has a sense of purpose and it tells a better story. Zines aren't meant to be just a collection of your best images. That's what a website and a portfolio are for. So a zine should try and explore a specific theme, and it's up to you to decide what that theme is. For me, this theme was a traveling documentary, but for you it could be something completely different, and it doesn't need to be something spectacular or grand. It could be light posts, it could be garbage trucks, it could be a street photography series, it could be whatever the hell you want. It's really just an interpretation and an expression of what you want to share. Here is a copy of my friend Zach's zine. It's called Bohemia, and it's a street portraiture series that he shot in Bristol early last year. This is a great example of how a theme can remain consistent throughout a zine. It's a street portraiture series, and that's all the photos in it explore that idea. Zach actually inspired me to create my first zine, so shout out to him. You should go check out his work. He's got some really amazing stuff. So like I said, your theme can be based on composition style, location, a journey, a person, but at the end of the day, it needs to follow a theme to kind of keep it concise and tell a better story. Next, I think it's key to talk about the actual production of the zine. So for me, when I produced my zine, I didn't actually go out on this journey with the intention of producing a zine or a book. I kind of just made the shots, and I was lucky enough in post that bring it all together, I was like, hey, this is like a really great idea for a zine. Alternatively, what you can do is you can come up with your idea and then go out into the world and try photograph that idea. Both ways have their pros and cons. For example, like shooting the zine intentionally, you go out there and the photos that you're going to create are going to be for that purpose. So you're going to have that theme already. But whereas if you don't and you go out on a journey and you just photograph your travels, then that can become your zine like it was for me. But a lot of the photos that you make might not fit this overall idea, so you kind of get a bit stuck. Overall, it is ultimately up to you, and do whatever makes you comfortable. There's no right way to do these things. There's no best way, there's no professional way. You should just do whatever makes you comfortable. And if you think that going out on a long trip and you can come up with the idea afterwards is going to work for you, so be it. That's what I did, and I think alternatively moving forward, I'm going to take this new approach of coming up with the idea and then going out into the world and trying to build those photos from that original idea. Both of these ways to producing a zine are going to work, and it really just depends on where you're at in your career and where you think you are with the idea. If you have an idea, be sure to go out and make it. But if you don't really have that idea, maybe look to some photos you've taken in the past and see if you can find a consistent theme throughout. It's always going to be a challenge producing a zine no matter what, so just try and enjoy it. It's a really fun process. Once you've gone out, taken all your photos or found the collection you want to make, you're going to want to bring these photos into a program called InDesign. InDesign is part of the Adobe Creative Suite, and it is the program which I found to be the easiest to put together a zine. Unfortunately, InDesign isn't free, and I'm sure you could find a torrent for it out there, but you do need to be part of that Creative Suite subscription. Alternatively, if you did go with an online printer, which is something I'm going to chat about a little bit at the end, they do have platforms which let you style and lay out your zine or book with them. However, I would recommend sticking with InDesign or a program like that because you just have that flexibility and freedom to really create whatever you want. In regards to the layout itself, this is another personal expression, and I can't really tell you the best way to go about it. You might want full page spreads, you might want tiny images, you might want an image per page. Like, that's totally up to you. This is the best part of making a zine, in my opinion. It's the layout and the expression of the images you want the story to tell. Personally, I love my photos on white backgrounds. I love how there's a white box that surrounds the image. There's a bit of context there. The white complements my bright looking style. So that's why I decided my images to be individual images on each page, and oftentimes like half full spreads. Putting the order and the layout together was also a big trial and error process, and something that I took a lot of time with because I wanted to ensure that the photos continued a story and that photos partnered side by side complemented each other, like not just composition wise, but by color wise. So this was a really interesting learning experience for me, like matching up my own photos. And it's something I think if you were to produce your own zine, to take a lot of time in ensuring that the photos put next to each other kind of help tell that story of your theme. But honestly guys, just have fun with that part. Like I said, it is the most fun. You get to see all your images and you get to imagine what they're gonna look like on the book. It's an awesome experience to try and match your photos up and tell that better story. So again, just enjoy it, don't overcomplicate it, and see how it goes. So the technicalities is a phrase I'm going to use just for the particulars about your zine, and it's something I get asked about all the time, and I think it's something you don't want to get caught up too much in. What I mean by technicalities and the questions I get is that it's how many pages do I need? How many photos do I need? Are they full page spreads? Are they half page spreads? Do I need to have a fancy cover? Like all of these questions, like do I need text in it? Like, this is totally up to you. Like, do whatever the hell you want. This is your art, this is your project, and it's something up for you to decide. Obviously, these things are important and you shouldn't overlook things like text if you wanted to tell more of a story, but just try and stick with the images originally and make sure you dedicate your focus towards producing a collection that you're super proud of. Once you've got these images together, then things like the page numbers and image numbers are going to fall into place on their own. And I think by not getting too caught up on that exact styling of it, then the photos that you do include at the end are really going to be the main show. For argument's sake, guys, my zine was approximately 40 pages long with 30 images, I think. This wasn't a number that I went in knowing. I just got all the photos together and did my culling and made sure that the images that made it in the end was something I was happy with, and that was a number that came out. When I produced this first zine, I was traveling at the time and living in Canada, so I couldn't actually find a great local printer that I liked. It was a real challenge and it wasn't going to make sense for me because I'm not a massive photographer willing to charge tons of money for my zine, so I wanted to keep things cheap, and so I found the best approach was with a online printing service. Obviously, a lot of photographers might disagree with this approach because I did have to forfeit a lot of the control I had over the images themselves, but for me at the time, this was the best way, and it was my first zine, so this is what I decided to go with. I think next time if I want to produce another zine, I might try the local approach, but I had a really great experience with Mixem in Canada, who handled my online printing and got my book printed for me. I can't say that the online printing service was a hassle at all. It was actually a really enjoyable experience. However, I did see how I lost a bit of control over the quality of the images getting printed. So if that's something important to you, that's a thing to consider. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope that these experiences I just shared with you help inform your decision-making process when it comes to producing your first or next zine. I certainly think that producing a zine is something all photographers should try and do, and I know you've probably heard that before, but coming from me and doing it my first time earlier this year or late last year, I learned a ton. I learned how to compile my images into collections and tell a more cohesive story. I learned how to use InDesign and the powerful program that it is in the way that I can produce more books down the line. And ultimately, I got another thing out there to the world which showcases my work, and it was a project which meant quite a lot to me, so it was really a great achievement once I got it out there. If you're having any doubts about producing your zine, I can't encourage you enough, because having something tangible and seeing your photos printed is always a great sign. And when you can get that book out to more people who might want to pay for it, or you want to give it as a gift, it's a really rewarding experience and something that all photographers, I think, should try at one point. If you don't think you're ready for it, or you're not far enough in your career to start one, my girlfriend has always told me that you need to make bad art to make good art. So I think it's a great opportunity, and I would totally recommend you starting. Otherwise, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.